Trump administration moves to deport the wife and children of the terror suspect charged with the firebombing in Boulder. A visitor from Israel witnessed that attack on Colorado's Jewish community and leapt in to help.
That's not the way to get peace, what that terrorist has done.
Mike Lindell's defamation trial begins with his team admitting they're not going to present evidence that he was telling the truth about America's elections being rigged by a company in Colorado. And I'll ask the new anchor of NBC Nightly News whether NBC will follow other broadcast networks in bending to pressure from President Trump.
You're obviously concerned anytime a media organization is threatened, but the only thing that we can control is what we do at NBC News.
That's tonight on Next. Federal immigration agents have detained the family of the suspect in the firebombing attack in Boulder over the weekend. Homeland Security leaders say they are investigating whether Mohammed Suleiman's family knew about his plans to attack the Jewish community. Suleiman's facing attempted murder charges at the state level and a federal hate crime charge that could put him away for life. Investigators say he showed no remorse for using a makeshift flamethrower and Molotov cocktails to attack people who'd gathered in support of Israeli hostages. A Homeland Security spokesperson says Suleiman's an Egyptian national who had applied for asylum in the U.S. after a visa expired in 2023. They say he lived in Colorado Springs with his wife and 5 children. Today, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem announced Suleiman's family was taken into ICE custody to determine whether they knew about the attack or assisted him in any way. The White House posts on social media that the family has been flagged for expedited removal, could be out as soon as tonight. Following the attack, Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons said the administration is prioritizing arrests and deportations of people with expired visas, whether or not they have any criminal history. The Trump administration had said it would be prioritizing the deportations of violent criminals, but finding enough of those cases has been difficult to meet Trump's goals of mass deportations.
We have millions that have come in, all across the last administration that have overstayed their visas and overstayed their welcome. And one of the main missions of ICE is to go ahead and arrest anyone that we can take an enforcement action on that has violated immigration law. We don't have the intent of what a lot of these people came for. While many may have came for the American dream, a lot have come here to commit crime, commit terrorist acts, or just not be the person that we want in our neighborhoods.
The Trump administration is also prioritizing deportations based on immigrants' viewpoints, like criticizing the Israeli government. And they've announced plans for expanded social media screenings, looking for speech that will be used to deny visa applications or to block permanent resident status for people already in the U.S. When that peaceful gathering in Boulder was attacked on Sunday, a man visiting from Israel was among those who rushed to help. He spoke with our Angeline McCall.
Yeah, and we had a beautiful rainbow.
After 5 months of traveling through the United States,
This is me handstanding with the Hollywood sign.
Naor Bitan's camera roll is filled with memories.
And this is a hike in Vegas that I did.
He captured what was a peaceful protest on Sunday in Boulder.
Here's the march, extremely peaceful, and it was beautiful. I was really, really touched.
Originally from Israel, he decided to join the group as they arrived at the courthouse.
And suddenly I felt this immense amount of heat, this immense heat wave. I looked to my left and I see this huge ball of fire.
Then he saw multiple people on fire.
So I just ran back and forth, shouting at them, "Give me water, I need water." I got some bottles of water from restaurants, I got some bottles from just random people. Eventually we managed to put the flames out. And when we did that, my attention went into a different place.
He says he made a decision as the attacker was chanting things like "Free Palestine."
So I made my way to the front of the line and I tried to push back the crowd, not let them get near the attacker. It's really scary. But not doing anything for me would have been worse. Having the regret of not doing it would have been worse for me than even getting injured, knowing I did the right thing.
The memory he made on Sunday isn't one he wanted to capture or experience, but that wasn't a decision he got to make, only the choices that came after.
I believe in God, and I believe that there is a source and a reason for us being here. And I believe that everything happens for a reason.
He says that people in Israel have been watching and feeling the attacks on the Jewish community outside of their country, like what happened here in Boulder, as well as the shooting and killing of the couple in D.C. as well.
And I mean, it feels a little funny to point out, but it seems like if anything, he might have been in a better headspace to respond in that moment, because public acts of violence like that are a little bit more customary in Israel.
Yeah, he said that, everything that his country has been going through, he's been here for 5 months, but Israel is his home country. And so just with everything that their country has been going through, he says that, this is not his first experience with violence, which made him, a little bit more quick thinking on his feet, which, he doesn't want to experience something like that, but thankful that he was able to help in the moment.
All right. Angeline McCall, thank you. Mike Lindell, the MyPillow guy, on trial in Denver for his claims that a Coloradan and his company rigged the 2020 election, is not going to provide evidence to support his election rigging claims. This morning, Lindell's attorneys told the jury in their defamation case it doesn't matter if what Lindell said was true or not, because he believed it to be true. As they said in Dodgeball, it's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him. Marshall Zellinger joins us from outside the federal courthouse. And Marshall, what do legal minds make of Lindell's strategy?
Kyle, one constitutional attorney told me simply, talking can be defamatory. Another one told me thinking something is true only matters if it's an opinion. Lindell sat just feet away from Eric Coomer, the Coloradan and former Dominion Voting Systems executive, suing him for defamation. And Coomer spent all day on the stand testifying what it's been like being accused of rigging the 2020 election. In his opening statement, Coomer's attorney, Charles Kane, said, "You'd better bring the receipts if you're going to accuse someone of treason and being part of the biggest crime we've ever seen." Lindell's attorney, Chris Kucherov, told the jury, "This trial is about whether Mike Lindell believed his statements were true at the time he made them. It doesn't have to be true, but he has to believe at the time he made them that they were substantially true." We only heard testimony from Coomer today. When asked about the claim he rigged the 2020 election, he said, "I don't have the access to even contemplate doing something like that, nor the desire." Coomer's attorney asked, "Do you fear for your life?" Coomer said, "Yes, I do. For the first few months I was in hiding. I left the country. I haven't opened my shades since all of this started." In the afternoon, the court was shown a clip from Mike Lindell's Frank Speech podcast in 2021, where Lindell said, "You are treasonous. You are a traitor to the United States of America. These are things that I have evidence of. The evidence is there." Yet in their opening statement, Lindell's lawyer said they would not be showing evidence to support Lindell's belief the 2020 election was rigged. There was a moment in court today, Kyle, that I know you even saw while you were sitting in there observing. It was when Coomer testified to hearing a number that Lindell has spent $40 million looking into the 2020 election results. And when that number was said, Lindell just sat there nodding his head in agreement that, yeah, that's how much he has spent.
Yeah, he appeared quite proud of this. Again, Marshall, we have another example where election deniers say, we just need a chance in court to prove that these elections are rigged. Lindell has that chance, and once again, these folks say they're not going to present evidence. We've seen case after case settle where people will run out of court and throw a bag of money rather than put up evidence, and this is Lindell's chance.
Well, by the end today, it seems that the tactic will be to show that any reputation damage done to Eric Coomer perhaps was done by himself. He spent a lot of time testifying about some colorful rants on Facebook that he made on his private Facebook page, Coomer did, about Trump in 2016, and it appears that Lindell's team wants to show the jury those posts. I don't know that they're going to be allowed to see those just yet. That's going to be decided by the judge, but it seems like that's how they want to win their case, by showing Lindell didn't do anything to Coomer's reputation and damages, but that was Coomer's own doing.
All right, Marshall Zellinger, thank you. The city of Denver is simultaneously talking about budget cuts and furloughs, while also greenlighting more than $1 billion in new construction for 3 projects. Our Mark Salinger looks at where the money's coming from.
The headlines in Denver can be confusing.
Tonight, Denver City Council approved more than $800 million of funding.
The city has recently approved or spent more than $1 billion for 3 major construction projects. At the same time, the mayor is announcing budget cuts and potential layoffs.
We'll begin the furlough process June 1.
$800 million approved for the National Western Complex. $70 million allocated for a new professional women's soccer stadium. $175 million spent for construction on the 16th Street Mall.
All things that can be drivers of revenue. We think it's important in those moments to keep doing this.
Today, Mayor Mike Johnston told Denver City Council spending money on these investments is a critical step towards increasing revenue.
All those long-term investments that have become real economic drivers for the city.
The money for these construction projects comes from capital funds generated by things like taxes, grants, or bonds. The city emphasizes not a single dollar replaces an employee or cuts a city program, even as the city's general fund faces a $250 million shortfall over the next 2 years. Simply put, the money is allocated to different pools.
Those are the kinds of things that bear fruit if people are out and spending money, right? Because we're relying on basically sales tax revenue for those things to eventually be worth it.
The mayor says there's precedent for investing in challenging times.
Convention Center was first proposed in the midst of the, what had been the 1987 recession, Coors Field in the 91 recession, and then Union Station was launched in 2008.
So are these investments working right now? In the first kickoff weekend for the 16th Street Mall, the mayor says that about 100,000 people went down there. If you look historically back to 2019, before the pandemic, before everybody left from downtown, the 16th Street Mall was seeing an average of about 20,000 people per day. Kyle.
Can't get caught in that spiral, right? Where people aren't spending money, then they don't have money to spend, and round it goes.
Important.
Yep, Mark Salinger, thank you. A judge backs off halting a massive dam project after warnings that a pause could be dangerous. And it's a new era at NBC Nightly News. When we return, I'll talk with Tom Yamas about his views on fighting misinformation and standing up to government pressure.
I think we do is strong journalism and important journalism, quality journalism that's never going to change.
My conversation with the new man in the big seat at Nightly, next. A federal judge ruled Denver Water can go back to building the dam on the Gross Reservoir, but cannot enlarge that reservoir. The $537 million construction project, which began in 2022, raises the dam by about 130 feet. It would triple the reservoir's capacity. Last month, the same judge paused that project, siding with environmental groups that argued project managers didn't do enough to study the dam's environmental impact. Denver Water appealed, argued that leaving the dam in its current unfinished state could cause the dam to fail and lead to quote-unquote catastrophic flooding downstream. In her latest ruling, the judge said the construction can start back up again, but said the Denver Water cannot begin cutting down trees or diverting water to enlarge the reservoir until new permits are rewritten.
A cloudy, gloomy day as winds out of the east and northeast have kind of trapped this moist layer of air over Denver, not allowing for temperatures to warm much. We've been sitting in the 50s all day. Average high is closer to 79. This time yesterday, our temperature was 22 degrees warmer than the number I just showed you. So certainly unusual weather, and the rain last night was unbelievable. Half-inch downtown, but many areas saw over an inch of rain between midnight and 6 a.m. Outside right now, still cloudy. There's some areas of fog that we're dealing with, tracking a few showers along the Colorado-New Mexico line and isolated showers tracking over the Front Range and into the metro area. A lot of this moisture is not making it to the ground. Severe weather threat remains well east of Colorado tonight. Grab a jacket if you're headed out. We can't rule out a shower. Temperatures aren't going to budge a whole lot over the next few hours, but we will go warmer the next couple of days, close to 70 Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, with a chance for a few storms tomorrow afternoon, a better chance of rain from storms Thursday. Thunderstorms in the Friday forecast, but right now the weekend looks mild and dry with sunshine and a high near 80 on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Lester Holt has wrapped up his 10 years leading NBC Nightly News. Tonight, my discussion with Tom Yamas about whether NBC is going to follow other networks in folding to pressure from the Trump administration. And a reminder, you can catch Next streaming each night, 6 p.m. on 9 News Plus, and Next is a podcast, wherever you find those. Our next conversation tonight is with the new anchor of NBC Nightly News, Tom Yamas. We talked about the challenges facing journalism today, from economic pressures to threats from the Trump administration. So whether it's nightly news or it's our local news operations, nobody wants to be the last person to help lead a storied news brand, right? But we both know challenges for broadcast journalism right now are really serious. So how do you ensure that Nightly is relevant and healthy well into the future?
I think you do that by putting out the best show out there. I think if you're the best at anything in America, people are going to come to you and they're going to turn to you. People are consuming news on television, on their tablets, on their phones, and we're going to be there. NBC News is always going to be there. I think you always need a free and strong press, and it doesn't get stronger than NBC News. So for the country, but also for people that just want to be informed, we're going to be there for them.
So right now, you've got the Trump administration threatening broadcasters who cover him critically. ABC News settled what was widely viewed as a weak lawsuit to avoid a fight with Trump. Reports indicate CBS is in a settlement over talks on an even weaker lawsuit in order to win favor with Trump. Is NBC News willing to do journalism that upsets the president, and do you think that NBC's ownership will stand behind it?
Look, it's like I said earlier, I think we always report the news without fear or favor, and we're tough but fair. I think if you look at President Trump and the places he's turned to time and time again, it's NBC's Meet the Press, because Kristen Welker has done a masterful job and a fair job of interviewing him. The president knows that when he comes on Meet the Press, he's going to get a fair shake, and the viewers know that as well. So I can't really worry about what's happening with the competitors. You're obviously concerned anytime a media organization is threatened, but the only thing that we can control is what we do at NBC News, and what I think we do is strong journalism and important journalism, quality journalism that's never going to change.
And lastly, Tom, I know different journalists have both different views and obviously different roles when it comes to combating misinformation and lies. How do you plan to do it with the nightly team?
I think that's a great question, because it actually goes into a lot of how we may program the show and how we think about stories. Because if there's something that's out there that is not true, I want to make sure when people turn to nightly news, they learn that it's not true. I think you get inundated now, whether it be text messages or text updates from news organizations, messages from your mom or your aunt, Facebook messages, social media, direct messages. People are always trying to send you info, and sometimes it's not right. And so that's why we're going to be there. That's why I truly think we still serve a very important purpose right now, because there is so much misinformation out there. So it's a great question. It's something that I think about every day.
My full conversation with NBC's Tom Llamas. We also discuss what, if any, changes to NBC Nightly News viewers should expect with him at the helm. Our full unedited conversation is on 9news.com, the next YouTube channel, and the next podcast feed. My full unedited conversations with Marilyn air every night here on Next, but they're 2 seconds long.
2 seconds.
Right there. It aired live. We're back with your feedback next. It's a sign that guard dogs come in all shapes and sizes. Jen Finch snapped this photo at Missile Site Park in Greeley. Guard dog on duty, says the sign. Now, to be fair, it does not specify what kind of dog, and the prairie dog does appear to be taking the duties very, very seriously. If you see a sign or situation that makes you do a double take, send it to us. Next at 9news.com is the email, or text Next at 303-871-1491. Finally, feedback from Mark, who writes, Lester Holt and Tom Llamas, both amazing journalists, both practicing quality journalism, not arrogant journalism like you. Mark continues, you should take note and follow their leads. You will never, all caps, never be referred to as a responsible journalist. Never, all caps, never, ever the best in America. You know, they say that clarity is kindness. Mark was very, very kind to me there. See you next time.